Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. Good afternoon, evening, day, whatever you want to call it, whatever your day is, have a good one. And hello, gamers. I'm Big D, and welcome to my madness. Wow. Oh, so what's on my bench? Well, as you saw my Instagram last week, I finally finished up. I wouldn't even call it a commission, but I finished up a job for the store I work at, and it got me into doing terrain. So I'm in the midst of finishing up the majority of the terrain for the store that was only primed, along with Commodore's ruins pieces, as they're using the same method of painting, just using different paints. But it's the same method. So priming them in brown and then working my way up to a lighter color. For the store, it's going to be orange, bright orange, and then a mix of bright orange and yellow. For Commodore, it's going to be a sandy brown. I think it's like a sandy brown, it's a moderate brown, a sandy brown, and then a taupe to get to where I want to get with his. And then we're going to go back in and do some metal work. The store is mainly getting bronzes. He's mainly getting some iron wires that's then going to be highlighted with Stormhost steel, because he's getting a bit more work out of it. The stuff I'm doing for the stores, I'm making it so it's on the table and good to use. The stuff for him, I'm trying to make it fancy. And so trying to get him done to get him off my plate. So he's literally the first stuff I'm doing, the first stuff I'm focusing on. The Plague Child is back from a convention. It keeps walking into things because they're a mess.
Gosh. I also have no balance.
I'm also going through and building my gray to get it built, to get it primed, to get it going. I'm taking a break from the Necrons, and I'm going to be hitting up my boys, my little orky boys. Was going through like stuff, and I found, hey, I've got a frame with a Death Dread in it. Well, let's make him rocking through some rubble and make him look good, and then have him mess some stuff up. So, gonna get this boy all painted up. Get a few other things. I especially want to thank the Commodore, because Commodore, who was up in Minnesota last week or 2 weeks ago, brought me this beautiful thing. It is Hard Mountain Dew Baja Blast Zero. Holy shit, this stuff is amazing. It's probably about as strong as like a Mike's Hard. You know, it's not like, oh my God, it is Taco Tuesdays, Mr. Fish. Yeah, wow, yeah, we're working on the orcs. We're getting there. I don't know if you saw it before I put up some money. I did grab him. I just put him up, did some base work on him, and got him there. We're gonna get him primed up and get him into his Death Dread or his Death Skulls blue. He's got to be blue because he's a lucky git. It's my boy, my lucky git. I'm going to probably throw another piece of something on the base. I don't know. I found these beautiful tanks. I'm going to throw them on. I've got them on the base. And when I'm done being painted, I'm going to shove some Astrogran in there. They really are. And I decided to build this one different than I like building my Death Dreads because I'm never going to run maybe more than one or two at any list. So I built all of them very different. I've got one that's all 4 claws. I've got this one that's got 2 of the zap guns. I forget what they call them. I've got one that's got double flamers, double burners, I should say. And I've got another one that's all magnetized, so I can do a bunch of different configurations. But it's not in Wisconsin. It's in Minnesota. And the Commodore was nice enough to bring me back a 12-pack. Mega Blasters, yeah. So I wanted to do one with twin Mega Blasters because we're lucky. So why not use that to our advantage and use the Mega Blasters? I love Def Dreads. They're so much fun. They have so much character. Just such a great kit. And I don't know. I think I'm just going to... I sold off a bunch of my AdMech, and I found that I've got a bunch more kits that I hadn't even built yet. And now I've got 2 buddies that are both like, hey, you got any more AdMech you want to sell off? Because they kind of want to get into it. So, yeah, exactly. And that's why I've got multiples. I've got one with 4 arms. I've got one with, and every other one of them has like 2 guns of some sort, like two flamers, 2 big DACAs, or big shooters, and then I want to do this one with the custom Mega Blasters. I love this kit so much. It's so much fun, and there's so much places to just paint little details on. And I've had sitting in a box the parts for a custom. I started working on a custom battle wagon with a def roller. And I've been sitting on those pieces for like 2 years. I got them during COVID, and I've got the pieces all put together, and I want to get him going. Oh my God, that's just nuts. What clan do you run, Mr. Fish? Because I pretty much only run my Def Dreads. Def Skulls. Because Def Skulls, Dave's lucky, and I love them. I love Def Skulls. I don't know. There's something about the whole blue lucky, just the damn lucky gets, and the fact that they steal everything. They're just, if they can steal it, they will. I love that about them. I just love that. Blood axes. Okay, yeah, that's fair. It's fair. I also, while I've been cleaning stuff up, I've been finding stuff. I have no idea who the manufacturer of this kit is. I don't even know if it's a kit. I might be printed, but I found this awesome Rust proxy that looks like a Ryza pattern Rust. But there was a couple pieces snapped off, so I went through some of my kits. I found some heavy bolters to put on the sponsons. It's funny because the las cannon on the front actually looks more like a Volkite blaster, but I mean, who cares? They don't have Volkite, so it's just going to be run as a las cannon. And I'm noticing like there's like a drainage. I think in their lines, and this might be printed. I don't know. I don't even know. I think I got this in a trade at one point. It was just something thrown into the trade. But I got to grab another smoke dispenser that I'm going to stick on the other side to replace the one that snapped off. And then I'm going to paint this black. And I'm going to use this as one of the tanks for my black company, which are basically my version of the Krieg, except in my case, they're squats. That's all those old 90s squats models I have. Who took my dice? Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. So yeah, it's the nice thing about cleaning stuff up. I keep finding stuff that I was missing and stuff I mean to finish up. I started painting on my Ogres because I'm done with 9th. Oh my God, I am so done with 9th. I couldn't be more done with 9th. I think 9th edition was fine and it was good. It was what it was. And I'm done. I'm done with it. I'm done. I played in a tournament this past weekend, and I'll be honest, my wife noticed it before the weekend. I really wasn't. I've already been just diving into 10th edition so much, reading all the designer notes and watching a bunch of designers stuff from Twitch and deep diving on what I can find on the web and reading over the rule book and just looking at planning and modeling. And I've come to the realization that I'm so deep into the idea of going to 10th that I'm already done with 9th. And I went into the tournament kind of already with all the gas out of the tank. So I went into the tournament and I tried to do well, but I'm done with 9th. I'm ready for 10th. I'm supposed to be hosting a tournament for 9th edition the 24th of June. That's 4 weeks away. Guess how many people have signed up for said tournament? Guess. Anybody? The number of you answering is the number of people that have signed up so far. Now, it's sad. I got a 16-man. I had a 16-man tournament that Lady D and I really put a lot of work in, and I mean, she put a lot in to make this happen, and we put a lot of buzz behind it. And we're 3.5 weeks away. 4 weeks, 4.5 weeks away, because it's the 24th. We haven't had a single person sign up. Not
Are we talking about how I put my heart and soul into creating and getting that tournament up off the ground? And nobody
signed up.
It is the last thing I did for that place before I had to step away. And no one is appreciating my blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah, nobody.
They all suck.
So, if I don't get any signups, by the time it's 3 weeks out, I'm going to cancel it. Because I can't see putting any more energy into it if I don't have people interested in actually playing it. And it's a damn shame. It sucks. It sucks a lot. And that's the thing. That's the funny thing. The reason people aren't signing up are the same reason I'm feeling the same reason. They're, hey, can you get me another one of these? Yeah, I the same thing is going on. It's like people are burnt out. The Baja Blast. People are burnt out. People are burnt out of 9th. So what I'm going to do for the next month is I'm going to focus on painting. And on the Sundays that I don't have stuff planned, I'm going to go. I want this flavor. Commodore, I want this flavor. This flavor is good. This flavor is very good. This flavor is delicious. I'm having a second can. It's so delicious. This flavor is ass. Can you say this with me, class? It's ass.
I want to try it.
You want to try it after it's got ice in it.
Okay.
Here, try the stuff with the ice.
Can I try the green one?
You can have one.
I can have one?
They're ass. I hate them. I don't like the plain dew.
That's actually quite lovely.
Yeah, it is quite lovely, isn't it?
You're losing your cup.
No, then you got to bring me another cup of ice.
Too much work.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
What about the watermelon ones? What do you think about?
I haven't had them yet. You can have the green.
I already have one.
Yeah, you can have green. The other ones are mine. So yes, bring me more, Commodore. Bring me more. I can use these to bribe the children. I can use this to bribe myself.
Except for the fact that one of the kids can't stand that either.
You know what? The other child's having it. I can use to bribe that one.
Give it a minute.
They'll like it.
Give it a minute.
They'll like it.
Give it a minute.
So anyhow, like I was saying, Tommy's going to bring me more. So yeah. So the thing is that
it was supposed to be a huge farewell.
It was supposed to be all this. I've been talking about it for months on here, and it's done. If I don't get people in by not this Saturday, but next Saturday, I'm canceling it. Yeah, well, we're just going to launch. We're not going to actually play the launch because nobody cares. I mean, that's the whole thing. I'm burnt out on it too. I really.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it.
Yeah, it's not bad over ice. So go ahead, have that one go.
Better, but it's not bad.
Okay, I'm on my show. Go away now.
Hello, people.
So anyhow, so I'm going to focus on painting for the next month at least. Doing some video work, and the big thing is that I'm going to spend my Sundays that I don't have anything else planned trying to get up to Warp Storm and play some Age of Sigmar. Well, I mean, that's the whole thing. I'll be honest with you, Ben. I've played a lot of Ninth. I've been playing Ninth a lot. I've probably played more games of Ninth. I've played more games of Ninth than I have any other edition. I've probably played more games of Ninth than I have the other. I played more games in the last 3 years than in the 27 years previously. And that's saying something. But I've played a lot of games. I mean, there was a period of time during COVID where I was playing on average 2 games a week, 3 games a week. It was crazy. I mean, we would go play 1 day a week during the week, play 2 on the weekends, maybe play 3 on the weekends. And then talking about it, I have played a lot of 9th edition. I really did. I played a ton of 9th edition. I mean, I was in a lot of tournaments. I was in the last 3 years, I've been in at least 15 tournaments. Yeah, it really is. Yeah, and that's the thing. 9th was one of those things like, I'm going to be honest, I like 9th a lot. But for my casual friends, it brought very little to the table. It was much more pointed at your prepping for tournament play. And I don't know if that's the addition or the mentality or whatever, but 9th felt more like we're going to play this game for tournaments. We're going to be competitive. And I know I went into the idea of going into 9th with the idea that I wanted to be more competitive. And I still want to play competitive but with what I've seen in the rules of how the narrative version of the game is going to play, I'm like super excited to play like that narrative campaign I have been talking about for a while. That narrative campaign I was talking about for a while, I really kind of want to get that up and going. I want to get some people that want to play an escalation narrative 10th edition campaign with all the neat 10th edition rules that are in there. It looks like it's taking all the cool stuff you got from Path of Victory that was in 3rd edition Age of Sigmar. By the way, quick shout out here. And I want to be clear on this because it did kind of fall apart kind of quickly. But I want to be clear to the Karaskios. The amount of work they put in to try and make Path to Glory work for Age of Sigmar, for our social group, they need to be applauded. They put a tremendous amount of work into it, and it was a lot of fun. Just scheduling was our biggest problem. Just so much scheduling and so much life started to happen, and it just things went the way it did. But they put so much work into making it happen and trying to make it happen, and I want to applaud them because honestly, Ben and Tina relit my fire and my desire to play Age of Sigmar. I'm super excited. I've got I bought another box. Of, oh, hang on, I got all for a minute. Let me kill a couple things here that it had open. All right, there we go. They really did. They kicked me into gear about wanting to play Age of Sigmar, and like I've got now my Ogres. I played the one game with them, and I really enjoy playing them. I played a couple games with my Nurgle, and I want to get them painted up because that's a fun army to play. The other two armies I actually have like stakes in. I have Bone Reapers, and like I kind of want to get them built and playing because the new rules for them are great. And I've got a bunch of my. You might even see the pink back here, but I pulled out a bunch of my Slanesh, and I got a box of them so I can start building the mortal side of that and get that all up and going. I really want to play more Age of Sigmar. I do love that game. And that's the thing that got me excited about 10th, because 10th is going to have a lot more Age of Sigmar things in it, in the way you build armies and the way some things play. It's still going to be 40K, but it's got a more narrative tone to it, like Age of Sigmar has. Now we just got to convince Antonio to come back to actually. We got to show up a couple weeks in a row and get Antonio to open the hot hammer back up in the mornings. But that's the thing. One of the nice things I'm liking about 10th and the stuff I have and I'm reading is that it is much more narrative, like Age of Sigmar. And that is the one thing I love about Age of Sigmar. I love that my Ogres, there's a story behind them. They're big, fat, lumbering, and their rules fit the figures. It's not just, okay, it's these figures and it's these rules. It's like, you look at the figures and you look at their rules, they're like, that's hilarious. It makes perfect sense. That's awesome. And I want to do that. We need to get Lady D out. True, that's one. Now, here's the thing. Kind of update on Lady D. A lot of people don't know. I mean, a lot of people, you guys know, she had a bad back. She has a bad back. She's had surgery on it. Back in September, no, I'm sorry, November, she took a really bad fall. And with as bad as her back is, it reacted and it basically has laid her up. She's been in a tremendous amount of pain. She got to a point where, and it wasn't her back. Her back caused the injury to her hip to be worse. Her hip was out of alignment. She had done things to like the ligaments and whatnot, and her back was causing the hip to seize because it's trying to protect itself. So she has been a mess. Good news is she's been in physical therapy. She had to quit her job because she's, to be honest, she's close to being an invalid. I think technically she is on short-term disability. The state's recognizing that. We just got to give they got to help us out a little bit. We'll find that out in a week or two. But she's been on physical therapy for the last 6 weeks, and she's got another like 4 to 6 weeks left of physical therapy. And she's getting a lot stronger. And because she's doing the physical therapy, it's helping tighten up the stuff in her back. So she's not in as much pain. So she's moving more easily. And she's doing things more easily. So she's out and about a bit more. So that's a good sign. So we will be able to see her out in the world real soon. And I'm super excited to get my girl out there. And maybe even on here doing painting streams and whatnot. So I appreciate people's concern. She is doing better. They are much more narrative based. The rules are slimmer. The rules are easier. Basically, the battle scroll cards are basically going to be the same thing that 40K runs on. Units are going to have special abilities baked in. They can do once a game or twice a game or once a round or whatever. But they're going to have their own rules. Instead of being a stratagem, things will be tied to the units and what they can do. CP are going to be a far smaller resource and less used because there's not going to be as many stratagems. There's like 9 or 12 core stratagems that everybody that plays the game has. And then every army will have 6. And that's it. That's it. So, and consider stratagems are going to be things like reroll 6, reroll a die or reroll a 1 or don't break battle shock. I mean, I'm thinking stratagems were very much a gotcha and could turn games and break games. And I think they want to move away from that. So I'm excited. But I'm also excited to get these guys painted up and go run over some elves with them and go crash into some giant mountain goats with them or mountain bulls or whatever you want to call them with my angry mammoths. Delicious elves. I have to say, I have one tiny concern for 10th. I know they want to tone down the lethality of the game because getting board wet by turn 2 is not fun. And that just takes fun out of the game. At turn 2 is just, and the problem is there's a lot of games that by turn 2, you've in 9th edition, you've wrecked an army by turn 2. They're already like, shit, what are we doing? So I know one of the main things they did is they're trying to back off the lethality, which I do believe is a good thing. I don't want them to back it down to the level of Horus Heresy. I'm going to say this, and some Horus Heresy people that are friends of mine are going to be mad. And I feel bad for it because conceptually, I love Horus Heresy. I think it's amazing. The models for Horus Heresy, that big armor, clunky big tanks, and beaky Marines, and clunky Marines, and Terminators. Oh, that appeals to me on every level. It makes my head go, that's beautiful. It makes my heart go, I love it. It makes, little D go, ah, that's awesome. It's amazing. But the lethality in that game is the exact opposite of 9th. And the problem with that is I don't like playing Horus Heresy right now because I could set up an army, and my buddy will set up an army, and we put 2,000 points on the table, and we play 3 rounds and just shooting the crap out of each other. And if we don't get a dreadnought involved, after 3 rounds, we've got about 1,800 points on the table because nothing dies. Nothing dies in that game. You're missing on so much, you're wounding on so little, and your armor is bouncing everything. It's like orcs shooting at Terminators. I mean, that's really the way to think about it. Think about Terminators, but give them orc stats for shooting. It's like lots of guns and doing nothing. We're all different. We're fishing for 6s and 1s because that's all that mattered. And that was the thing I didn't like about, and I don't like about Horus Heresy, is that if you don't get dreadnoughts involved, it's not a lethal game. It's a very low action game. You're basically playing follow the leader around the board. You get a dreadnought involved and suddenly the game changes. But when one kind of unit does that to a game, that's not very much fun either. So it's not great. But visually, it's so beautiful. I love my Space Wolf army that I've made. I've got 2,000 points of Space Wolves painted. And I love them. And I'm figuring out how I can stick them into my 40K army and use them there because they're just terrible in 30K. Because 30K is not a fun game to play. It appeals to people who like historical wargaming. And I didn't think about that because I looked at it when I wanted to get into it. It's like, it's 40K, but with all Marines. All Marines. Yeah! Because I'm a Marine guy. I like my Tau. I like my Orcs. I like my Necrons. I like my Guard. But I love my Marines. Marines are the best. Sorry, it's just what it is. Marines are the best. And the problem is that a game that's all Marines is great until you actually roll dice and realize Marines kind of suck at killing each other. Ugh. Their guns do shit to each other. I mean, they're walking tanks and they're firing at each other. It's just not. So, but since Marines aren't going anywhere and Firstborn aren't going anywhere, I still have a lot of them I haven't done anything with because I was going to try and build a Word Bearers army. They're not built, they're not painted. I think I'm going to turn them into Firstborns. And yeah, that's why they're adding so many tanks. Tanks. Well, here's the thing. I play wolves. Wolves are melee. They don't want to melee tanks. Yeah, in a lot of ways, that's basically it. It's using very slightly altered 7th edition rules. 7th edition with no stratagems. So I'm taking what I have left, my other half of the box that I was saving to put on my Word Bearers, and I'm going to use them to build up my new Marine army, my Death Speakers, and I'm going to use them to build. I've got some extra heavy weapons, so I'm going to build a couple of Devastator squads with them, and I'm going to build some. I have enough tactical Marine squads, so I'm going to probably put some jump packs on them and build some assault Marines with them. Probably get some combi weapons and make some Stern Guard vets out of them. But I've got 20 beaky Marines. I've got 20 of them. 10 of them are going to turn into 2 Devastator squads. So we'll see what I do with the other 10. I'll keep you guys abreast. I'll show them to you when I do them because I mean, I'm just going to use the stuff they have, and they go, they're just old school Marines, and fitting with the lore of the army that I'm building. My having Horus Heresy era figures is kind of perfect. I should point out, I also have a box of Mark IVs, I think. So I have a box of Mark IVs. I have 20 Mark VIs. I still have a Contemptor Dreadnought. I have a Leviathan Dreadnought that I didn't do anything with that I had from before. So it's in resin. I still have a bunch of old vehicles. I have a bunch of 90s tanks that I was going to use for Horus Heresy that now that I'm not playing Horus Heresy, I'm just going to use them for this. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I'm also big surprise. I'm going to be testing on a new paint scheme. So I'm going to take a squad of like 5 assault terminators. I mean not terminators. Assault intercessors, and do this other paint scheme that I have an idea for on them, and see how I like that compared to the paint scheme I am doing. And I'll probably pass it by a couple other people, Commodore, and see what they think. Because I don't know, the gray with the purple shoulders. I mean, it's cool, but when I did the original Death Speakers, I had them half red and half white, or half red and half bone. I liked the split a lot, and it's easy to do. I really like the split. It looks good, but I didn't fall in love with the bone color. But I really like the red, but I didn't like that red. So I'm trying something. I want to do a red. I'm actually going to do Gal Vorbak red. So I'm going to do them split and put Gal Vorbak red on their left side and then black on their right side. And try a couple other things. So, like I said, when I get some done up, I'll show them to Commodore, and if people like them, then I'll put them on Instagram and probably end up stripping the 20-some-odd figures I've already painted and repaint them in the new scheme, if I like it, when I need those figures, because I've got plenty of other shit. I'll be honest, when the Leviathan box set comes out, I'm not painting them up any of that as wolves, because I don't need any more wolves. Oh my god, I've got 15,000 points in wolves. I'm making I have like 20 more wolves I need to paint because they're already built and primed, or built and put together for them with special dinky dinks on them. But I think I'm done building wolves for a while. And I kind of want to take a break from wolves too. I want to try this new army. Like, seriously, I've put a lot of lore and a lot of thought, and I kind of want to build and play these guys. Mr. Brother, how are you, sir? You know, that's the other thing. There's nothing wrong with other games. I mean, I don't want anyone to think there's anything wrong with other games. I mean, I'm playing Age of Sigmar and building and painting Age of Sigmar, and I'm trying to get motivated to work on my Conquest army. I built the Giant, and he is a gorgeous figure. He has such a gorgeous figure. I want to get him primed and paint him up, and then I can think about how I'm going to paint the rest of that army. But I want to get my Conquest army painted up. Even though I haven't even played a game with it yet, I'm going to probably paint it up. And if I can't get a game in with Kami, it may just be a showpiece army. But I love the figs. The figs look beautiful. So one way or the other. I like the idea of other games. Antonio has been pushing a mech game, war game that they sell at Warp Storm that he has a lot of fun with. Battletech is back. I mean, there's a lot of people playing Battletech, and it is back in swinging. A lot of people playing Battletech. A lot of you guys over at Warp Storm are playing Marvel Crisis Protocol, which I have a passing interest in. There is definitely some interest in painting up some X-Men and some Avengers and Spidey Man and having some fun with some superheroes. I used to be really big into HeroClix years ago. It's kind of a shame that HeroClix, it died out, and I hear it's back, and I see we have it in our store, but I almost never see anybody buy it. And I don't want to go on a collector's chase because that game is a collectible game, and I'd rather just buy the figures I want. After playing 40K the way I do, I don't want to have to try and figure out what box has the figure I want in it. I do that enough with Magic, and even that I'm getting burnt out on. There's a lot of Magic cards I'm going to keep my Commander decks, but I'm probably going to sell off a lot of my Magic, just because I don't have time to play it like I did. Weird thing, getting a second job at a game store is great and kind of sucks at the same time. And that's very true, Art. That's very true. That's a very true statement. I think we have the Marvel Crisis Protocol starter kit, so I'm thinking about picking that up just to take a look at it. I mean, I get my discount on it, so I might pick it up just to take a peek at it and see how it goes. I've also been screwing with some other painting techniques. Talk with my brother about some stuff. I've been going through it as I've been cleaning up. I've been digging out I've got some pigment sets, and I found all my oils, so I can now start doing some oil washes again. I found a bunch of different stuff that I was looking for. I mean, cleaning and purging, I threw away so much junk that I was hanging on to. Like junk, old sprues that had a couple pieces on them that I might use some. No, chuck, I'm done. I'm going to be going through my extended sprues after I get all my actual real figures that I have in the house built. And when I get everything built, I'm going to take a lot of my sprues that are just junk, and the stuff that I can pull and use for terrain, I'm going to keep. But I'm probably going to end up chucking a lot of stuff out or giving away a lot of stuff. I tell you, Al, oil weathering is amazing. You take your figure, you give it a matte varnish, or actually give it a gloss varnish coat, and then you mix up some oil washes and just kind of mess with it, and then wipe away where you don't want it to be with a Q-tip or a cosmetic tip and a little bit of white spirits on it, and wow, it just looks amazing. It really does. It's got a very interesting, very organic look to it. It's really good on like tank treads and like in oily situations, like if you've got, gas cans and stuff like that. You can get some really, really nice effect. I'm a big fan of oil washes. And I love that you can use oil washes in multiple colors. Everybody's like, oh, you got to use browns and blacks. I was talking to Weather Pig, and this is probably about 2 years ago. He and I got on his podcast, and we were talking about oil washes. And I'm like, why not use green? He was trying to weather some stuff to make it look like a sewer. And I'm like, well, then use browns and greens. So you can do like mold and mildew and gross mossy type junk. And he's like, you could use green oil? And I'm like, why not? And he did, and it came out beautifully. I would think if you got a nice turquoisey, like a really nice turquoisey tealy type oil wash, you could make some beautiful verdigris effects out of it too. So I need to experiment with it more. I'm gonna be doing a bunch of terrain. That's another thing. I got a bunch of terrain. I'm finally got done. When I'm done with commies, because I've got it now, I gotta go grab it and start the second coat of brushing on it. But I'm doing some other stuff at the same time, and I've been messing with ideas of layered dry brushing, like layers and layers and layers of overbrushing, dry brushing, overbrush, dry brushing, and then oil wash, clean that up, put another clear coat, use a different kind of oil wash, and then clear coat on that, and get some really neat layered effects. Not being afraid to grab like pastes and just kind of jam pastes in place to make it look really dirty, grimy, grungy. Grabbing some dirty down and throwing rust and verdigris and moss and just crap on stuff. So, I mean, you can overboard on things, but if you know what you're working on, you can just kind of have a day with it. So, I've come to find that I don't mind very clean looking figures, but my own personal figures, I want them to look dirty and grimy and battle worn and just, I want them to look like they're living in their environment that they're working on. Trovarian recently did a video on painting weathering with, or heavy painting weathering, grimdark weathering, but on white armor. He was doing the Lion's Honor Guard that came out of that kit. So he's using, Blade Guard. And wow, he changed up those figures. I mean, he took off a lot of the junk that he didn't like because he wanted them to look unique. And he still went with that white, but he primed them in white, and then actually he went into them with not a bone color, but he actually went with, I think, pallid witch flesh, and then worked it with a sepia, and then highlighted, and then did some dark metallic scratches and some dark brown scratches, and just, I mean, you gotta see it if you haven't seen Trovarian's his his Lion's Guard video. Go look at it, because it really changed like how I look at transfers. Like he puts these transfers on and they look freaking gorgeous, and then he practically covers them up with the amount of weathering and scratching that he puts over them. It's just like, holy crap, you did them gorgeously, and then you just completely jacked them up, and oh shit, that looks really good. Damn. So, and it's easy. It's not like he just went, oh, and you gotta have all these different. No, he just went with sponges and very fine brushes, and it's just crazy. So if you really want to do weathering, like heavy weathering, check out Trovarian. He that recent video was really shocking to me. Just really, really good. I was really, really stunned by it. And because I'm going to be doing my what do you call it? My Slanesh army. I'm going to be working on a lot of like blood effects, but I also want to do like my demons. I make them look ethereal. I want I'm those who've seen so far the demons I've done for my Slaneshi. I don't want them to look like people. I don't want them to look humane. I want them to go from this weird purple into a bright pink into a white, and they look like they're kind of like they're obviously not normal. Like they don't even look like skin. They look like they're almost shimmering, in my opinion. The look I was going for is that they look like they're artificial. They look good, but they look like, yeah, that you hit them and they explode. They poof into warp dust. But I'm going to be doing the human half of the army, and I've actually been watching a lot of Miniax videos specifically on how he does flesh tones, because and a couple other people, because there's the Slanesh, because it's funny, like, even though they're going to be battle hardened veterans, they have a lot of skin showing, and I want them to have that warm pinkish rosy, that, how do you describe that, the dancing girl, the dancing pale dancing girl type skin, where they're all like, it's rosy pink and looks very soft and looks very dainty. I want to do their skin in those tones, and then their weapons are splattered with blood, and their mounts have blood that they're running through the ground because they're just this murderous horde. But they're also so beautiful. Have you seen them? Beautiful. So I've been watching a lot of videos on painting skin tones and how to get a nice, just a very soft, beautiful, demure skin tone. even on my dudes, because I mean they're just gonna look. They're gonna look. I want them to look soft, demure, because they're Slanesh, and Slanesh are nothing. They're sluts. Bring us more sluts. Let's Slanesh. They're the sluts. So. Okay, so this stuff's a little stronger than I thought. My apple juice. And it's a little stronger than I thought. So yeah, now that I've got my speed painting chops under me, and I can get a workable slap chop figure into place, in I painted a squad of guys for a friend who needed them really quickly for something he's trying to smash out, for a tournament. I did a squad of 10 guys in 3 hours, and they looked better than anything he had on the table. So, so I've got my slap chop done. I've got the speed underpainting done. So I think I want to focus on. I think I'm going to use 10th as the painting in 10th. I use 9th to knock shit out. Although I'm already still knocking shit out, I've already painted over 300 figures this year. I want to focus on. I want to focus on painting better, higher detail things. Like I'm actually going to try and with this Slaneshi army, I'm going to try and break out the real Magna goggles and buy some high end fine point sable brushes and actually try painting some faces with highlighting and not just white with a quick highlight or a quick contrast across it. I'm actually going to try and paint some flesh colors and do some highlighting with some spot washing and try and really get that rosy tone out. So we'll see. We'll see if I have the patience for it. All right, go back to Justin and Drew. Oh, look. Done. Done. So yeah, I think the next army I'm going to focus on painting is going to be finishing up my ogres. So I'm gonna work on Age of Sigmar, and probably as soon as I'm done with all my ogres, I'm gonna probably go right into my Slanesh, because I've actually got a lot of them I got to build. I hadn't realized how many Daemonettes I still have unbuilt. I'm like, good lord, I have like units of Daemonettes, and I have units of the ones that are riding on stuff, and I still have like 2 units of Fiends I've never built. So I want to get the rest of my Slaneshi demons built, and then focus on getting my Slaneshi people built, and then painted, and get a couple of my Age of Sigmar armies, because I got plenty of. I mean, I'm going to be learning 10th edition and figuring it out. I've got plenty of stuff built and painted for that, but I want to get like my Age of Sigmar like up to speed. So we'll see how that goes. And I'm going to be doing a lot of terrain too. Like terrain's going to be a big focus as well. Saw some of the stuff Rob had done with some of his weathering, and he definitely, he did some knife weathering and some chipping weathering using actual physical deformation of the figures, and that's cool. My brother and I were talking when I was at his house. We have been talking about railroading and how modern modeling and modern miniature, that all their weathering techniques really came from what the modelers were already doing, from what the train modelers were doing. So I kind of want to go back to the train end of things and get some of their weathering techniques and apply it to terrain and vehicles, and really, really kind of up the contrast and up the detail on stuff. Luke Towan does a bunch of like dioramas that are HO scale dioramas. But he does a lot of really amazing terrain work for trains, but you can use that stuff in wargaming. I want to build an actual board. Like, yeah, I know the roll-up mats are great and the flip-out boards are great. I want to build an actual, I can pick it up and put it somewhere for storage. I've got a storage space that once I get a bunch of stuff cleared up, it's going to have room on it. I want to build a board that adjustable so I can move pieces around. Like right now, a regular board is 60 by 44. I have to go look at that then. I know I can get some of that. I need to get my hands on some of that. But a typical board is 60 by 44. So the idea of doing a set of, I don't know, 11 11 by 10, 11 by 10 squares or near squares that are each individual pieces of terrain, but they're modular, so I can rearrange them on the board to make themed boards. That seems like a good idea. Might be limited for storage, so maybe just a nice flat board that I do like some high end, like get a static grass applicator and put a river through it with a bridge and put some small hills in it that'll just give it some little bit of up and down, but not really like, bluffs or anything. Yeah, I kind of want to build modular boards. I mean, that's part of it. The problem is the storage of modular boards. Like the biggest problem you see when like guys do modular wargaming boards, if the terrain doesn't come off the board, how do you store it? So I'm working on some ideas. Like, I mean, the rolling the mat and then just having a bunch of terrain is always still a good idea. I don't know. I've got so many neat ideas because of the terrain that I've unearthed as I've pulling stuff out, building it, priming it, putting it in boxes to go work on it next. I've got an entire Frontier set that I can easily do a 60 by 44 board in a lot of Frontierist terrain. Like, and if you're not familiar with Frontierist is they also call the Ryza set. So it's like a chunky cross between like Old West and it's like Old West and chunky cyberpunk tech. They did the Frontierist box set, which had the landing gear and the radar dishes and the radio towers, but it's also got like corrals and hab bunkers that look like freaking Old West saloons. They've got a big board on the front. It's like, what is this? It's awesome. But and I liked them when they just had them like in Kill Team. That was the only way we could get them. But then they started offering them for regular 40K, and I bought a bunch of them because I love that aesthetic. And now I've realized I've got like 7 or 8 tab bunkers and a whole bunch of the corral pieces and 2 landing pads and 2 radio towers and 2 radar dishes. Huh, okay. Yeah, like they do for railroading when you want to build a modular railroad kit. Yeah, that's probably not a bad idea. That's also one of the things I also want to do. I want to get my hands on is bad. I want to get because again, you talk about the idea of narrative. Warhammer is in what's called O scale. That's the scale that Warhammer's in compared to model railroading. O-scale is very popular for Christmas trains. I live by a Menards. I'm very tempted, and they do Christmas trains, they do Thanksgiving trains, they do 4th of July trains. They want people to use trains. It's popular. It's Wisconsin. And I also live by a Walthers, but they don't sell O very much. But the idea of getting enough O track to lay a set of track on a 40K board and then get a couple of train pieces and build them, or take the trailers and the haulers that they did for Necromunda. Yeah, I'll have to show them to you, Phoenix. I know you've actually seen them, but I'll show them to you, Phoenix. They're very old westerny look. They're like cyberpunk old western cross. It's a really weird aesthetic. Because they're not very tall. That's the big thing. They don't have a lot of height. So you're not hiding vehicles behind tall buildings. They're all like one-story buildings, unless you put one on a landing pad. Then it's like a two-story building, and that's it. But the idea of doing a frontierist type board with like tall prairie grass and maybe a little bit of rolling hills, and then putting a railroad through the middle of it, and then using a ridge hauler and some of the cargo containers that the ridge hauler pulls, pull the wheels off them and put O-scale hubs so you can actually run the thing on the track and use it to say, I don't know, okay, we're running a scenario. At the end of round 1, it appears on the board, and every round it moves down the track some. And, or something like that. And if you're on the path when it comes through, you take damage, or you can jump on and it'll move for you. So you can, I don't know, it'd be kind of fun. Again, very narrative. Yeah. Well, there's Model Empire in West Dallas. Also keep in mind, I've got Happy Hobby here on 76th and Good Hope, and on 83rd in Burleigh. So yeah, we can have some fun with it. And there's definitely some fun that can be had. And the idea of just having like a 40K train on a board, even if it's not like motorized, but just having actual tracks it fits on and slide it down the board as you go. There's, again, we go back to the Frontierist board. The Frontier, Old Western. I mean, it kind of writes itself to write a scenario where, there's a train and there's a town and the bad guys are trying to break into the train. Oh no, our Happy Hobby is still open. There's the one by my house in 76 and Get Hope. There's another one over in 83rd and Burleigh. I don't know if the one on the south side's still open. They've been around a long time. Dude, I went there as a kid. They have been around forever. That man there used to take me to Happy Hobbies after we weren't going to Russ's anymore. Man, I tell you, if I miss anybody, I miss Russ's. I just have such good memory of Russ's shop. That was a shop I was sad to see close. A lot of good memories at Russ's Hobby Shop. But yeah, just the idea of just having train tracks, it's just like a fun idea. It's just a really fun idea for a 40K scenario. So it'll be a little expensive, but I mean, if you can make a cool board out of it, you can make a cool board out of it, and that'd be a lot of fun. Especially if you do like a train track across the board and cross it with like, you got a train track X going one direction, and you have a road going the other direction, and you have you use the railroading techniques to have a road crossing there. And, it's just, it's not going to have any functional use, but it'll look freaking awesome. Yeah. Yeah, Russ was a cool dude. Russ was a really cool dude. It was Russ that got you to buy me D&Ds, so, a lot of props to Russ too, So everything's Russ's fault. He got me interested in trains. He got me interested in airplanes because I used to listen to his stories about as a B-17 pilot. And I still to this day, because of that, love World War II aircraft. And then he got you to buy me the D&D box for my birthday that one year. And, that man was responsible for a lot of geekery in my life. So, it is what it is. All right. So, final thing we're going to talk about 40K. We've been seeing these previews. Community's up in arms. Oh, they're too powerful. Oh, they're too weak. My army's going to suck. My army's going to be great. They're going to be too powerful. Dudes, freaking relax. Nobody knows what any army is going to be like yet. Nobody, unless you've got the full rules and the full index. Nobody. Because we don't know how the rules are going to interact with each other. We have no idea at all. You know nothing, Jon Snow. They've given everybody a taste. We don't have any idea on points. Until we know points, nothing matters. Because without points, there's no way to rate or gauge how good, how bad, how anything is going to be. Because we don't have points. The Custodians could be the best army in the world. But if they're 100 points a figure, they're not going to be fun to play because you're going to get 10 dudes, 15 dudes, and a bike. Be done. People need to relax. Enjoy the hype machine and just relax. We'll get what we'll get when we get it. And until then, just focus on your hobbies. That is a very true statement, my wonderful niece. That is a very true statement. If your dice don't love you, your army don't love you. and that don't matter. You can beat the numbers best you can, especially this edition, the way they're trying to crunch the numbers to make the numbers a lot more flat. Your dice need to love you in this edition. This is going to be, your rules are okay, but how good are your dice? Meaning you and Shannon are going to have entire games where nobody hits anything, but anytime you do, nobody will make an armor save. It'll be hilarious to watch. You'll have random people die because somebody rolled a 6 and somebody rolled a 1 at the wrong time. It looks like I'm going to have the time to actually role play a little bit. Tina is putting together a role-playing game that I am going to try and carve out my Thursdays to play. See if I can. And have some fun with that. I haven't role-played in about a few years now. It's been 2 years in all. But that was only a once a month game. I haven't role played like I was role playing on almost a weekly basis really since our 40K role playing game ended, and I, I haven't really been role playing a lot much. I haven't been into it, but I'm ready to be hurt again. So we'll give it a shot. We'll see what's up, and maybe if I'm into it, I might try and free another day up and maybe try and get the game I've been threatening people with for the last couple of years to get back up and get running again with my weird setting. It's 8:42. Those were a little stiffer than I like to admit. And I'm feeling it. I am gonna probably go to bed. Been pulling extra hours. One of my guys is on vacation, so I want to give a shout out to my current Patreons. Which I currently only have a few left. I've lost a number of my Patreons. I've only got currently 5 active, and I love the 5 of you very much. I appreciate you. So I've got my 2 Battle Brother tier Patreons. I have got the lovely and beautiful Tina Carrasquillo, and my brother, the amazing Alex Drake. I appreciate you both very much. I got my buddy in Cleveland, Joe Bookish, at the battle leader level. And then I have that lovely couple, the Pirate and the Commodore, as my 2 Warlord tier Patreons. I love you guys very much. I love all of you. I love you guys when you just show up and hang out on my streams. I love when you come and talk to me. What you got to learn, you got to learn to just get buckets of dice, and just when they're done, they get banished into the other bucket, Yeah, you failed. You don't come back. I don't really get any more of this game. Just have go to you can get these boxes 300 and 500 die of the same color combination, and just buy gigantic boxes of them from Chessex and whatnot, and just do that. 500 of the same die. You roll them, all the ones that fail you of that last roll, they all go in the bucket. And you just go through the game pulling new dice as you need, and the ones that keep rolling bad, and they roll bad, they go in the bucket. By the end of the game, you've shifted all the bad dice into another bucket. And then you can dump them all together and start over the next time you play. Eldar for 10th, so I'll have fate dice. You will. Eldar are going to be fun. It'll be fun to see somebody playing something other than Marines, because Marines are going to be thinking, and I'm like you and Eldar. You look like an Eldar sort of guy. Although I'd really love to see you with your Dark Angels. We have to sit down and do that. We'll have to talk about that. Stuff to do. Let's see how fate dice. You also have all your special Elven dice, and you can use those and get away with that. So maybe some tutorials now. Maybe actually get you to roll some dice and play a game of something. Even if it's not 40K or Age of Sigmar. We just sit down and play a game with you. That being said, we're at 8:45. I'm going to close up shop here tonight. I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank y'all ever so much. I love y'all so greatly and dearly. Y'all mean a lot to me. Thanks for coming here. Keep playing whatever it is you play. Keep gaming. Keep painting. Keep building. Keep being epic. Be the best you can. Be the best hobbyist you can. And never get up. The next one, you'll just get better. Until then, until the next time we come together, treat each other right, and we'll see you soon. Game on, my friends.